Welcome to Module 3 of Client Liaison Training. In this module, we'll talk about what types of returns we'll prepare and when, appointments, our drop-off program, and how to handle out-of-scope returns. So let's start with what we'll prepare and when. From the day the site's open through February 15th, we'll only prepare returns that are considered basic returns. Remember to refer to page 2 of the intake packet that the client completes. If the client has responded yes to only those questions with a B preceding the question, the return is a basic return. If even one question answered yes has an A preceding the question, this bumps the return to an advanced return. Why will we only prepare basic returns through February 15th? There are a couple of reasons. First, during this period, the majority of our volunteer tax preparers are only certified to the basic level. Advanced preparers are scarce at our sites. As the season goes on, more and more volunteers certify to the advanced level, and our sites are able to accommodate these advanced returns. You'll notice on this slide it mentions that from the time the sites open through February 15th, we'll only prepare tax years 2014 and 2011. So why do we throw 2011 in the mix? A client risks losing their refund if they don't file a return. If the client is due a refund for withholding or estimated taxes, the client must claim it within 3 years of the return date. The same rule applies to a right to claim tax credit such as the Earned Income Tax Credit. Part of the reason we provide free tax preparation to low-income households is because we want to ensure they claim the refunds and credits for which they are due. We don't want to risk a client not returning to us later in the season who needs a 2011 return completed. So, if they're ready to do it when they come to the site, no matter when, we're going to do it. All other prior year returns will do starting March 1st. February 15th, we'll start preparing advanced returns needing the Health Savings Account certification, and returns for self-employed clients. If you're working with a self-employed client at intake, please hand them one of our self-employed worksheets and ask them to complete this form while they're waiting for their tax preparer. You can continue intake. They don't need to fill out this form before you process them, and you don't need to review the completeness of this form with them either. The tax preparer is going to take that responsibility. March 1st is a big day. By March 1st, we'll prepare nearly anything. By this time, our volunteers are fully up to speed, they have plenty of practice, and our sites have the capacity to work with clients who have more involved tax situations. March 1st, we'll prepare any prior year return as well as amended returns. And we prepare quite a few amended returns. Frequently, clients who file early in the season will return and say, oops, after I got my taxes prepared here, I went home and I found another W-2 in my mailbox. I totally forgot about that job that I had for a couple of months last year. These clients need to be instructed to come back after March 1st and will amend their previously filed return. As long as they file before April 15th, they're not going to face any penalties for not filing a correct return the first try. Again, March is when our sites have the capacity to redo returns. Now, I give you all these dates, but they are not set in stone. At any time, a manager can say, sure, we can do that return today. This decision is based on site factors such as the number of clients in the waiting room, the number of volunteer tax preparers, and the certification levels of those available preparers. Especially if your site is slow on a particular day, double check with the site manager to see if they can accommodate the request. If not, please instruct the client to come back on the target date, like March 1st. Don't advise the client to come back and try again tomorrow, unless, of course, tomorrow happens to be March 1st. Let's spend some time talking about appointments. Throughout the filing season, all of our sites accept walk-ins. We also have the option of scheduling appointments. While clients can begin scheduling appointments in January, Appointments are not available until February 15th. So why is that? By now you know there's a method to our madness. Trust me, every decision we make in terms of operations at our tax sites are made very intentionally and with a lot of thought. The reason we offer appointments beginning after February 15th is twofold. First, I'd like you to take a look at our client traffic from last tax season. You'll notice that during the last week of January and the first week of February, we're crazy busy at our sites. By law, employers need to provide W-2s by January 30th. And as soon as our clients get these documents, they want their return prepared right now, right this very second. They need their refund, and they flock to our sites. We use appointments as a strategy to get clients to delay tax preparation, if just for a couple of weeks, so that we can even out our client traffic flow throughout the season. Our ideal tax season wouldn't have so many dips and peaks in terms of client traffic. The other reason we offer appointments is to give clients an option. Frequently, and usually during those 2 busiest weeks I mentioned, clients arrive at our sites and see a packed waiting room. You tell them the wait might be 3 or even more hours, and they look defeated. You offer them an appointment. If they schedule an appointment, they can come back at a later time and be seen at a time that's convenient for them. We offer appointments at all of our tax sites. To schedule, clients can go online to communitytaxcenters.org. They can call our appointment line, or they can send us an email. Encourage scheduling online. It by far is the quickest way for a client to get an appointment. And most of our clients now have smartphones and can easily schedule their appointment through their phone. Our appointment line is answered by a live person. However, it's just one person, and frequently she's tied up on the line with a client. Anyone who leaves a message, she will call back. At our Community Financial Center location only, we offer appointments for our clients needing American Sign Language interpretation. Those appointments are available on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Our deaf and hard of hearing clients schedule appointments the same way that I mentioned earlier. Any client with an appointment will serve as long as they come within 10 minutes of their appointment time. If they arrive within this time frame, they get bumped to the front of the line and the front of the queue. Call them up as soon as they've completed their intake paperwork, and then once you've processed them, always put the processing folder in the very front position of the queue. This will ensure that the next available tax preparer will attend to the client with the appointment first. Walk-ins will fall behind the appointment. And at this point, I'd like to give you a word of caution. You'll be sitting in the front of the room at the intake table, and all client eyes will be on you. They'll be watching the queue like hawks, and when they see that you put an envelope in front of their envelope, you bet they'll be asking why. Explain to the client our process for handling appointments. Usually with this explanation, the client relaxes and trusts you again. But I just want you to be aware because you're going to have a room full of clients watching your every move. Be patient, treat everyone with respect, treat everyone fairly, and make sure you communicate truthful information to clients. At any time you don't know the answer to the question, it's okay to tell the client that you don't know. Ask one of the on-site staff and get the client the information they need. The next option we have for our clients is our drop-off program. We've offered our drop-off program over the past 3 tax seasons, and clients love it. Instead of sitting in the waiting room for the next available tax preparer, clients leave copies of their tax documents with us. A tax preparer staff person conducts a client interview before they leave the site, and then the client leaves the site. A group of volunteers at our Community Financial Center location in South Austin prepare all of these dropped-off returns, and then the client is called when his or her return is ready to be picked up, which is usually around 3 to 4 days. The client returns to the site where they dropped off their return to pick up their completed return. The drop-off option is available beginning when the site's open and will be available up until the last week of tax season. At the intake desk, there's a separate queue for dropped-off returns. How drop-off returns are handled at each site might vary slightly, so check with the staff person on site to learn about how drop-off returns are handled at your site. As an IRS-sponsored tax preparation program, our volunteers have to abide by clear guidelines when it comes to what types of returns they can prepare. The IRS will not allow our volunteers to prepare returns that have a home office deduction, have income or loss from a rental property, have business loss, businesses that kept inventory, or businesses that had over $25,000 in expenses. There are also some other returns we're unable to prepare, and a more detailed list will be available at your intake desk. When you come upon a return that is not within scope, please hand the client the handout called Out of Scope, What You Need to Know. This handout, in English and Spanish, details what the client's options are, including hiring a CPA, hiring an enrolled agent, and also details on our very, very small out-of-scope preparation program, which at the time of this recording is still in the planning phases. Our out-of-scope program relies upon a retired CPA who volunteers with us and prepares some out-of-scope returns for our income-eligible clients. This handout will be updated by the time tax season begins with accurate information about our out-of-scope program. You're doing a lot of work interacting with our tax center clients and getting them ready for the tax preparer. But as in any job you've probably had, there's always this line at the bottom of a job description that says, "and other duties as assigned." It's the same in this volunteer job too. The staff can particularly use your help at the beginning and the end of each day. At the beginning of the day, it's helpful if you arrive 30 minutes prior to the site opening. Take a look at the intake area. Do you have everything that you need? Alert our staff if you're running low on something. Make sure the client sign-in sheet is good to go and has the day's date marked clearly on it, and make sure all signage is properly displayed. If you're on one of our closing shifts, then the staff can use your help wrapping up the day. One thing that needs to be done is the tax returns that have been prepared that day need to be organized and put in order by Social Security number. At the end of the day, we also check each tax file and make sure we've got everything that we need in the file. Clean up the site a little bit. If there's any confidential papers that should be shredded, so any papers that has client's name, their address, or their Social Security number, give them to the on-site staff who will make sure they get shredded. Make sure your center is clean and has materials enough for the week. If you need supplies, make a list for the staff. And that's it. You've completed the client liaison training. If you would like to see an example of a mock intake, take a look at the optional video listed after this training module. Then, when you're ready, it's time to move on and take the quiz. After the quiz, you'll complete the Standards of Conduct training and test, which every single one of our volunteers in the tax center completes. And after that, we look forward to seeing you in one of our sites.